There are two methods for backing up, or brick level backup for Exchange. The legacy method is the mailbox add-on, which is actually more of an archiving method. It backs up the data within Exchange databases and stores them, the mailbox data, I should say, user mailbox data, in individual PST files. Now, this is a long-standing technology. It requires that you can connect to the Exchange server through a MAPI connection, and it pulls the data out of Exchange and stores PST files. Now, it's ideal if you want a separate archive of all your Exchange data and in PST file format, but it does require an additional job to do that, and it does take extra time to run through and create those PST files. It only supports, this method only supports Exchange Server 2003 up to 2010, which is worth bearing in mind. Because it has to be a separate archive, you have to have a local storage to store those PST files. These type of jobs can store it to a local hard drive or to a network share. It can't store it directly on, let's say, a removable, on like an RDX drive or a tape device. It has to be to local hard drive technology. It's only really a mirror backup. It's designed to update this archive of PST files every time it runs. So if you want to go back in time, then you're expected to back up the PST files again, which adds to your backup size and time as well. And the other sort of thing to bear in mind with the mailbox add-on is that when you come to restore the data, you can only choose a date range to restore. You can't be more specific than that. For those reasons, a newer technology has been developed, and this is what we recommend with all new Exchange deployments. As long as you're running Exchange 2007 onwards, it's really only Exchange 2003 you can't use this method with. Then you can use, with 2007 onwards, you can use the new Exchange Granular Restore add-on, often referred to as the EGR. The beauty of the EGR is there's no need to back up anything else separately. As long as you've already got either a system protection job, a file protection job, or even a file archiving job. It is possible, but generally speaking, we recommend system protection or file protection. As long as you've got one of those jobs that includes your Exchange server, so the Exchange server has been listed as a VSS application, you've selected it to be included in your backup, and in essence you've got a copy of the Exchange database, then you can use the Exchange Granular Restore console to drill down into that backup and get access to the mailboxes that it contains. Therefore, there's no additional time to run a separate job, there's no storage requirement to run a separate job, and you've got all of that history. You can go back in time and say, I want to look at my Exchange server as it was a week ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago. As long as you've got a backup that included a snapshot of that Exchange database, you can go and mount that Exchange database in a previous version. It's worth bearing in mind that from a licensing point of view, if you purchase the new Exchange Granular Restore console, which is the only product you can now purchase, you're still licensed to use the legacy method to back up to PST file. So we still do have customers that prefer that method, or the specific reasons why they want an archive. We even have some customers that use both. There's nothing stopping you, having the benefits of both. But they've kept that feature because there's still a need, mainly because there are still customers out there with Exchange 2003. And the new method only supports 2007 onwards. So I just wanted to quickly show you the Exchange mailbox protection, the existing method to export to PST, because that's the different backup job, and that's when you look at within BackupAssist and you choose to back up the Exchange mailbox, that's what you're running. Like I said before, if you want to use the newer Exchange Granular Restore console, there is no job to create, so there's no need to add another job here like I'm going to show you. But for those legacy customers, just to explain how it's working, when you take a backup of Exchange through the Exchange Mailbox add-on, you're creating a set of PST files. You typically choose a scheme where you maybe would store those in either monthly, quarterly, or yearly folder structure. That way, you're not going to hit a limit, 2 terabyte limit per mailbox. So you can see here we've got 3 quarters, and the 4 users have a PST file per quarter. Then every time the backup runs, it's updating, in this scenario, the current quarter's data. But again, you can imagine this is you've got a whole range of PST files, an archive that then is stored locally. So you can get quick access to those to restore data. But you can also, if you need to, then take a secondary backup of those offsite. In BackupAssist, the actual method of connecting to the server, you can connect to a local server, i.e. Exchange running on the machine BackupAssist is running on, or you can point it to a remote server as well, which is another benefit of this method. You know, if you have one or more Exchange servers on the network, you can connect to them and bring in data from those other servers. You choose the actual mailboxes you want to back up, and you can also choose whether to back up public folder data as well. There are different methods for connecting to Exchange. I won't try to cover this in detail now, but generally speaking, depending on whether Exchange is local or not. If it's local, you tend to stick with the default ANSI PST using the Exchange management tools. If it's remote on another server, then you may find it's actually more efficient to use the Unicode PST if you've got a local copy of Outlook running. Like I said, our preferred method is not to use this function, but if you are wanting to connect to a remote server, or you specifically need to create a PST archive, then these are the options that are relevant. When you're coming to actually restore data through the Exchange Mailbox add-on tool, then you can see that your options are to drill down into a backup and choose the Exchange server that was backed up. You can then choose which specific mailbox you're interested in restoring, and you can choose a date range that you want to restore from. So the finest detail you can get to is a particular date. So you can say, well, I want to restore all of Fred's email for Thursday. Then you can restore that data to either the original Exchange server, so push it back to the server it was backed up from, a different Exchange server, or you can write that data out to a PST file specifically that only contains the data you're interested in at a particular path. If you push the data to an Exchange server, you can also choose the mailbox you want to push that data to, so it doesn't have to go back to the existing the mailbox it was backed up from. Looking at the newer function, the Exchange Granular Restore console, which is, in our opinion, definitely an improvement over the PST method. This allows you to drill down into an existing backup that you may have taken, that you will have taken, that may contain an Exchange database. So when you go into the Restore section of BackupAssist and you click on the Exchange Granular Restore console, the first thing it's going to do, after you've selected a date range, so you could say I'm interested in a specific date range or all of my backups or the last 7 days or 30 days. Once you've chosen the date range, it's then going to scan all the backups that you've taken. It's effectively looking inside its catalog files, and it's going to show you which of those backups contain Exchange database files. So you can see here that I've got 2 database files that were backed up on a particular date, and I can then select any EDB file it finds. And I'm effectively mounting that mailbox data at that point in time. And then you get a really nice console. This gives you a view of that whole Exchange database. Doesn't matter if it was backed up on a different machine, you've got full access to the Exchange data. You can see the mailboxes, you can drill down to see the folder structure, you've got access to all other data like calendars and contacts, journal information, everything you would expect to see within Outlook. You can really use it like you would use Outlook to view a mailbox. You can see the actual messages, their subject, who they're from, who they're to, the date and time. So it's very easy to find specific missing messages. So you can select those messages, or you can select whole mailboxes using the ability to multiple select data that you want to restore. There's even a built-in search function that gives you, ability to search for things that are a little bit more specific. Looking for words within the body of the message is very useful if you're not quite sure who sent you that message. Once you've found messages, anything you select then and then you go back to the browse window is part of the data you're about to restore. The options for restoring, you've got 2 options really. You can export into a PST file, so you can just choose data and say, right, write this out to a PST file local to me now on this BackupAssist server, and then you can take that PST file and open it with Outlook or import it back into Exchange if you wanted to. It's kind of long-winded way of doing it. Or you can just store it as a PSD file. So it's totally up to you what you want to do with that. The other method is to actually connect to an Exchange mailbox. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the server that you've backed up from. You click on a button to say connect to an Exchange server. You give it an Exchange server address. You give it credentials to log into that Exchange server. It's equivalent to logging in over an Outlook Web Access connection. And then you can see that live mailbox on that other server. And from then you can then restore directly into any folder that you've got access to. So if you've got a user that says, I've deleted some email, you've found it through the EGR, you can just push it straight back into their inbox. So from a user's point of view, it'll just magically reappear in their inbox. Including any folder structure, you can restore it. It's not just individual messages.